Hi guys, my name is Duarte Viana and I am the co-owner of Drift HQ. I got into drifting by watching others drift on TV, and I went and checked out Formula Drift. I think it was in Miami 8 or 9 years ago, could have even been longer than that, and I fell in love with it. After that, I started drifting parking lots and then events, and here we are. E46 tenfold. Even though I like the E36s, it was my first car that I ever had. I love the E46 by its look more than by its weight. I know the E36 is a much easier car to drive. They're very similar, but I just love the looks of the E46. Chelsea Denofa. Has to be. E46 guy, big power, aggressive driving. So he was a big influence. Michael Essa was also an E46 guy, and seeing his car with the S54 was outrageous to me, what power he was putting out. So I could say definitely those two cars. I'm a handbrake entry guy. I don't like the way that the BMWs behave on the Scandinavian entry or feint or however you want to call it. I do it sometimes, but on a NA car, like a E36 NA, like works really well, but I have done it on a gripped up car and it sent me like directly the opposite direction I wanted to go. So now I like to go as fast as I can into an entry and big E-brake. Best track or event? I mean, we've been to so many tracks, especially doing Drift Week. I would say event itself, small track, I would say Park was one of the most fun events I've ever been to when we were a part of Drift Week and they were doing like invited all the locals. That was a really, really cool scene. It was kind of like Japanese style track and the vibe there was excellent. But big track style, we love our 4th of July events, and it's an amazing experience to drive that fast with so many good drivers. So small track, Park, big track, AMP for sure. At the time that I started Drift HQ, there weren't a lot of companies that supplied parts to Drift HQ, and there weren't a lot of companies that built parts for drifting itself. So we went to a shop, my car sat there for quite some time. It didn't get done. We ended up like going there and finishing the car inside of the shop ourselves because they were kind of putting it on the backside and not getting the car done. And it inspired me like, hey, there's a need for another parts company and there's a need for a company that can build rad cars, and that's where we came in. And that's like 2014 till now. Like, it's been a long journey, but we started because there was a demand. Drift spec all the way. I do like the hot boy look, but I just can't see myself. I like to sometimes go off-roading a little bit, maybe sometimes by mistake or sometimes going too fast, but I would say definitely drift spec. I know I'm gripped up and I know I can like get the car to where I want to get it to. So trends, oh boy, we don't need to even go into that subject. I don't know if it's a trend or what it is, but obviously takeovers is definitely something that we don't want to get associated with. We hate that sometimes we know that people buy drift car parts to go to those gatherings and stuff, and it sucks for the sport in general because it's definitely not the direction we want this to go in. We'd hope that those guys, and they're like, they have, some of them do have talent and they should just use it somewhere else. So unfortunately that became a trend within the last 3 years or so, and it's something that we don't approve of whatsoever. So take it to the track. It's hard to deny it, but James Dean is a machine. That boy can drive. Whatever you put him in, he drives. His style of driving and his confidence behind any car, like it's really inspiring. Don't overbuild your car. That's like the #1 thing. We all like to overbuild our cars, including myself. And at the end of the day, having fun versus overbuilding, throwing a bunch of money at the cars, like you end up burning yourself out. You don't get enough seat time. The less you spend in a car and the more fun you can have in it, that's the way to go.